Hello, welcome. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about some simple strategies that a small nonprofit can implement, a framework, so to speak, how that small nonprofit can retain their monthly donors and slash churn. Churn, of course, is when donors leave your program. That's what we're looking to avoid. Let's get started. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Ronald Pruitt, president and founder of For Good Cause. I have over 25 years experience helping nonprofits raise money online versus a website designer or consultant, now as a software CEO. Always happy to connect on LinkedIn if you'd ever like to do that. Let's look at the keys to retention. To me, it's really four things. First off, you want to make sure that your donors are appreciated. They feel thanked for their donations. Second, that you're showing them that their donations are making an impact. Three, that they feel a part of your community. And four, you're keeping those payments charging every single month with no interruptions. Those first three items, those are very important for what's called voluntary churn. You want to kill the voluntary churn. That's when a donor chooses to leave your program voluntarily. They make a choice to do so. The last one, stopping those payments from failing, that's stopping that involuntary churn. They didn't mean to stop. It wasn't their fault. They just fell off because no one addressed a payment problem. So let's start by looking at that voluntary churn. We want to get that stopped for you. The first thing a small nonprofit can do is to make sure that you are giving your recurring donors an easy way to sign up. An easy donation page. You are going to set an expectation that working with your organization is going to be easier. They will feel immediately better about the donation that they made because this process was really easy to sign up. If I have to slog through a bad giving form, even if I get to the end and I'm very successful, I actually got to the end, I made my gift. If it was hard to do so, in the back of my mind, I'm going to be worried that the dealings with your nonprofit, getting service on my monthly donation, hearing from you, that some of those things might be difficult. Immediately after you get that donation, your fundraising platform should be sending out an automatic email thank you receipt. This is your first opportunity to hit that gratitude key, making the donor feel thanked for that donation. So this should come from a real person with a real email address. Yes, donors will reply to these messages. It should include a heartfelt thank you. It should include a reminder of how the gift is going to be used. It should include contact information if donors have questions about their gift. As an aside, I do recommend sending receipts every single month. You will set an expectation that basically everything is fine with your subscription when they get that receipt. It's also another touch point for you to say thank you to that donor. Now, I'm sure a lot of folks watching this, you've felt, I've given monthly donations to some nonprofits, and this is where it ended. This is where the donor retention efforts ended. The system sent an automatic thank you, and I didn't get anything else. Probably that you got to go a little further than that. The next thing that should be on your list is a personal welcome. So this is different than the receipt. This is staff member, board member that's taking the time personally to welcome that donor to your community. I would want to see this come out really as soon as possible, within 48 hours. If you're a small nonprofit, you typically are wanting to find simple ways to do this. So I think a personal email, personal phone call, handwritten card, those are all very doable things. There's lots of ways that you can kind of welcome somebody into your community. But for a small nonprofit, you want to keep things simple. This is something that you can do. Maybe pick one or two of these that work really well for you. You can automate some of this. You can automate a handwritten card, written by a robot. You can automate, a personal looking email that goes out. But the more personal you make this, the better that the donor is going to feel. They're going to feel closer to your community. The next thing that you should do is subscribe that donor to a newsletter. A good cadence for a newsletter for small nonprofit is monthly. That's typically pretty doable. Again, our clients are small grassroots nonprofits, limited staff. So we oftentimes are advocating for things that are doable, that a small staff can handle. A monthly newsletter, typically done via email, that should be doable. If you have the capacity to do a print newsletter, those can work really, really well. In your newsletters, you are communicating updates to donors on how their donations are making a difference, and you are offering engagement opportunities for them. How else can they get personally involved in your nonprofit? You may be adding testimonials from donors. You may have testimonials from people that have gone through your programs. This is where you are hitting that key retention piece of letting the donor know that their donations are working. Speaking of engagement, about 4 times a year, I would say, okay, can you bring these monthly donors together? Try to plan a few small, informal, inexpensive events where you can bring them together and start to build community. And not only community between you and the donor, your organization and the donor, but between the donors themselves. Bring them in. They want to make friendships and know that they have like-minded individuals that are working with them, that believe in the same things that they are and want to give to this cause. This could be a great way to strengthen the donor's connection to each other and to your organization. Now, I mentioned these should be small, informal events. You don't have to build something as elaborate as that you may be doing for your gala this year. This can be a quarterly Zoom call. This could be a backyard barbecue hosted by a board member. This could be a tour of your facility. One of our clients, the YMCA, they do special volunteer opportunities. Monthly donors come together. They go out in the community and do that volunteer activity together. 4 times a year would be great, but do this as often as you have the capacity to do. Another way to build community and bring that donor closer to your nonprofit is to give them input on your work or your relationship with them. At least twice a year, I would be sending my monthly donors a survey, asking for input on the engagement opportunities that you have, maybe on the work that you're doing. It also gives you an opportunity to get some deeper information from them. Why did they give? What's their birthday? What are other kind of important dates to them? What types of engagement are they looking for? All of these things give you insights into who your donors are and will help shape your program to their needs, to their wants, and that's going to bring them closer to you. It also makes the donor feel really good about when someone asks for their input. Oh, I'm a valued member of this community. They want to know what I have to say. Some of the things that you get from a donor from these surveys, maybe their birth date or something, it helps you kind of plan out surprise thank yous. At least twice a year is good. If you do it 4 times a year, that's even better. You're not asking for a gift. This is just you reaching out to the donor to say thank you for what you're doing for us, to being part of our community. Again, small nonprofit, choose a simple way of doing this that you can easily repeat and schedule. Personal email, personal phone call, handwritten card. That's going to work pretty well with this. Oftentimes it doesn't matter the format that you're doing, as long as that donor is receiving that message and understands how much they are thanked. Gratitude is really one of the best ways that you can stop this voluntary churn, them choosing to leave your organization. You're never going to contact them too much if you're saying thank you. All right. Let's look at the involuntary churn. This is when payments are failing and no one's taking any action and the donor just drops off the program. The first thing that you can do to prevent this is to set up your payment processing to be forgiving, meaning let's try to have less payment failures up front. First thing I would do is check your payment gateway, check your fraud settings inside that payment gateway, and see if you're being a little too strict in declining cards. There's always a fine line between fraud protection and allowing transactions to come through and you to earn that revenue. I've been doing payments with nonprofits for over 25 years now, and I can certainly look at a fraud settings setup and kind of tell you where that line is. And always happy to, anybody wants to reach out and kind of figure that out with me, I'm happy to do that. But this is something that you can look at first. The next thing you can do to have a forgiving payment process is to encourage donors to give ACH or e-checks. So this is direct payment from a bank account. Okay, consumers typically keep their bank accounts active for 17 years. So this payment method is not going to expire in the same way that a credit card will. It's also a cheaper way to accept payment. Through our platform, it's 0.75% for an ACH e-check payment. So you're keeping the donor around because you're not going to have to experience the typical cyclical card expiration problems. Also, the issues with cards getting stolen and lost and things of that nature that causes payment failures as well. So you're keeping those donors around and you're saving money at the same time. On the credit card side, we got to keep those cards continuing to charge. So again, in your payment gateway, I would enable a service called Account Updater. So this is a service that looks at the cards that are on your subscriptions. It will reach out to the card issuing banks and see whether that card has been updated in some way. New card number, new expiration date. If it has, then it will automatically move that new information onto your subscriptions. Donor doesn't need to be contacted. It all works automatically. It's a very inexpensive service. Through the gateway that a lot of our clients use, authorize.net, it's 25 cents per update per card. So you're only being charged a quarter when that gets updated, and that's much more cost effective than having to reach out to that donor or having the donor have to do something to keep that card on track. And authorize.net reports that you'll catch on a given month, you'll catch 7 to 8% of out of your subscriptions that would have failed each month. So that's a lot of saved revenue. You want to enable donors to be able to help themselves. So hopefully your fundraising platform has the ability to offer donors their own portal, their own account. Hopefully you are sending alerts to donors when there are payment issues that will then encourage them to go into those donor accounts and make those updates. When you have a self-service way of keeping something up to date, you typically are going to do that. There's a stat that I saw recently, 67% of consumers would rather handle something themselves and have to talk to a customer service rep. So you're giving them something that they want. And then the alerts and such are putting them right in there to keep these cards up to date and keep them firing for you. No matter the tech stack you have, no matter if you have all these tools implemented, you will still have card failures. It's very difficult to avoid that. Things just happen. And some of those things are not going to catch absolutely everybody. If the donor gets an expiring card notice from your system, they may not take action on that. It may still fail. Something like Account Updater might miss that particular one. You will still have card failures. It's up to staff really to stay on top of that. So in addition to alerts that go to donors, you should be getting alerts that come to staff anytime you've got issues with a payment method on one of your recurring donation subscriptions. There's a customer service aspect here, so I recommend having a dedicated person on staff. Have that person, maybe once a week, check your subscription dashboard, see what's been flagged, see what subscriptions need action. Don't rely on the donor to fix that themselves. Go ahead, when you get that alert, go ahead and follow up with that donor via email, phone call. Dropping a postcard in the mail can also be very effective. Hey, your last payment failed. Can you log into your donor account? Can you call us and we will update that for you? You should have a subscription dashboard where you are alerted to issues and you have the ability to fix it right there in your fundraising platform. Once you have the procedures in place for how you'll handle card failures and really how you'll manage all the things that I'm talking about, look at that 12-month calendar. Write down when we're going to do surprise thank yous, how we're going to handle card failures, what are we going to do as a staff. Write those procedures up. That way, when you get new staff people on, they're going to know exactly what to do. I want to spotlight one of our clients that's doing really, really well with their recurring donor retention, and that's a group called Kids Work. They are a group in California that works with students and kind of get them ready and successful in college and on into their careers. They have a monthly giving program called the Honor Roll. They currently have a 97% donor retention rate. This is the way we calculate it. It's a 12-month rolling rate. So if a monthly donor gave 12 to 24 months ago, did they give again in the last 12 months? Really in any fashion. The big key for KidWorks is, they have all the tech, that I've mentioned, but the big key for them is engagement. They have tons of volunteer opportunities available to donors, tours of their facilities, mentorship opportunities. You have tons of ways that you can get involved with this nonprofit, kind of get in there and help them with the work of what they're doing. And when donors are doing that, they stay engaged. They're not going to leave your nonprofit. It kind of works on both sides for this organization. So not only if they have a monthly donor that's engaged in that way, they stay, but it also helps to self-select a monthly donor into the program. So they offer these opportunities to everybody. And if I'm involved in this way, I said, well, I should become a monthly donor. So it sort of self-selects them into the process here. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself. Reach me here. Always happy to take questions. Thank you so much for watching.